Hey guys, it's Vman here, back again with another account review, and today we're looking at Divide by Zero. I guess that's it. Cool. Let's go take a look at what Divide by Zero has going on in his account. Let's try to find something to kind of hyper fixate on, like I have the past few videos. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of like doing that now. It feels like I go really in depth into a topic that is somewhat, misunderstood by the community, not really understood at all by the community or something, but it's something for people to kind of fixate on and worry about, like the past videos, like what forge capacity, I guess build rate, build speed, construction speed, that kind of stuff. So let's go through the account, obviously give some general advice to start, and then see if we can find something to kind of target and, go a little bit more in depth on to help you out with. So let's go into it. We have, I guess we'll start off with basic stamps. There's not really much here to talk about. I mean, I feel like once you're at this echelon of the end game where you have like Dragon Warrior statues, you're at the end of World 6, killed Emperor a bunch of times, whatever. Stamps, especially now that no stamp left behind is kind of a thing. And also I have a personal bias. I don't really like stamps all that much anymore. I feel like, yes, stamps are good. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of powerful stamps and definitely ones that you should focus on, especially if you're more of an early game type player, like crystalline stamp, like mason jar stamp, the carry capacity stamps, or drop lots, or drippy drop, like these ones right here, right? Multi-tool, ladle stamp, all that, right? Really good. Okay, I'm naming a lot of stamps, but to that specific point, there's not really a reason that you need to focus on these stamps that much, because a lot of stamps actually have, diminishing returns, or at least some of them have diminishing returns. Some of them kind of scale linearly, like mason jar stamp, for example, which is why it's so good, why you want to push it up, because every single level increases by a specific set amount. But crystalline stamp at some point has diminishing returns. So getting a no stamp left behind hit on crystalline, for example, might bring you to like, an extra 1 to maybe 3% crystal spawn chance, which in the grand scheme of things, how much crystal spawn chance we actually have through shrines, through the cards, 1 or 4% is not really going to make too much of a difference, right? So, I tend to ignore this for more the end game players, because let's be real, having 22,000 stamp level, you're probably doing just fine in the stamp department, right? Also, the fact you have gold ball stamps, that's just really nice. You exalted 7 stamps, all of them. I don't really see any problems with that. And also, if there was a problem, it's not really much you could do to fix it. I guess, if you were to get another exalted stamp, because you can get 8 inside the compass, I would probably say drop lot stamp is something you want to do. As I mentioned before, kind of touched on in another video, the base capacity you get from liquids is actually fairly big. So any one individual increase to liquid capacity actually massively increases your liquid capacity overall. To give you an example, if you see my actual liquid capacity of the first cauldron here, and keep in mind, I do have the Viaduct of the Gods node active. I think it's what it's called. It's it's that one node lab, gives you like 5 times or whatever carry capacity in for liquid, that is. That node is a big multiplier to this. So this is just one example. I have 819,175 liquid cap. If I increase this by 1, going from 1754 to 1755, I get 300 liquid caps. That was a 1 liquid cap increase, right? So imagine going from, in your case, what was it? In your case, it was 255 liquid cap, and then doubling that, right? Like imagine how much liquid you actually get. And the reason, I guess, you want to do this, and this is very dependent on where you are in the game, right? Like if you're an end gamer and you can candy click, exalting drop lots is the exact reason why you would want to do that, because candy clicking takes a lot of liquid, especially when you get into the tens to hundreds of thousands of levels, depending how far you want to take candy clicking. If you are candy clicking and you are looking for ways to increase your liquid cap, because that eventually kind of becomes the limiting factor for you being able to candy click, right? You kind of want to increase the cap of your liquids at some point. I guess this is probably going to be the thing I hyperfixate on, is liquid cap, liquid regen, that kind of stuff, and candy clicking, right? So drop lot stamp is a good one. I guess we'll come back to candy clicking and all that stuff and why liquid cap is so important, ways to increase it in just a second. But drop lot stamp is a good one, situationally, depending on if you candy click. Additionally, I do want to add a disclaimer that we don't know what World 7 is going to have, right? There's been some teasers through Reddit posts that Lava is going to, make some changes to Worlds, to the game, like the core game, like how things operate. I saw there was something where someone was getting negative trapping EXP, and Lava posted a comment on that Reddit post saying that, I'm paraphrasing here, don't quote me, this is not a direct quote, but something to the effect of the overflow issue kind of not being a problem in World 7, or some other issue being talking about World 6 locks, for example, that when World 7 gets released, the amount of characters you need, like Sky Doggy Spirits or maybe Leak Spirits, are probably going to decrease. He said, oh, it's an unconfirmed rumor or something. He kind of talks like that as a meme, but it seems like he's heading in the direction where, yes, he's nerfing World 6. We don't know if he's going to nerf like World HP or like Mob HP, or if it's going to be, sorry, hold on, please. Cat's leaning on my other like work computer. I forgot I had it open. But there might be some like reduction to the locks instead, or there might be like a double nerf to mobs where the lock gets nerfed, but also the mob HP, so it makes it easier to push World 6. Anyways, outside of that being said, the reason I bring up drop lots and why candy clicking might be a relic of the past in World 7 is because it depends how Lava fixes the overflow issues that we've had and what comes out of that. Because to give you guys a little bit of history, the reason why storage items cap at 1,050 million, it's not because that's a number he decided to set as like the max baseline for when things start turning into atoms. Because if you didn't know, in Idleon, even if your atom collider is off, you turn stuff into atom in your storage. So the storage has an actual cap of 1,050 mil. And the only way you can bypass it is when you like don't change map instances. That's why candy clicking, you can get like trillions of resource in your storage. So there's a few things that will force your storage to refresh. One of them being the 3D printer. So if your 3D printer procs in the middle of candy clicking, it'll refresh it down to 1,050 mil if you've surpassed that capacity. And secondly, if you change maps, go to the gem shop, something like that, it'll force it back down to the 1,050 mil. And again, if your atom collider is off, because mine is, I always keep it off, because the only thing keeping it on does is it changes this actual resource cap. So if I were to change this, you'll see that my storage caps don't go down to 15 million. It's only when I turn on the atom collider when that new resource cap will take effect. So the actual internal limit to storage in the game is 1,050 mil, whether or not you have atom collider on or off. Also, I realized I did that not in full screen, so to give you guys a better picture of exactly what showcase that, I'm setting this down to 15 mil. If I go to my storage, I'm at 1,050 mil. So that's because my atom collider is off. It's not changing the actual game storage cap of 1,050 mil. And that's kind of the code of the game. It's not because Lava set that as some arbitrary number. He did arbitrarily limit it down to 1,050 mil. But the reason it's actually limited there is because of overflow issues, because of mobile. So with Lava saying there might be some fix to overflow issues, it makes me think, is there a possibility he could increase the storage cap limit? Because that would kind of make candy clicking more or less a thing of the past, depending how much he increases the storage cap. Again, if he does that at all. So, exalting drop lots now may not be worth it down the line if there is some actual overflow issue, fixed, right? Again, it's all wishful thinking. Again, all speculation. Drop lot stamp exalting is a very situational thing depending on your prints and if you actually want to candy click or not. Just keep in mind, if you do want to go for an extra exalt stamp right now, drop lots is a good one. In the future, you might be safer off doing like Maddie Bag stamp, for example, because materials are obviously just always nice to have a bunch of resources, and especially if you go AFK, active farming a mob over time. I have this item filtered off, but with how much storage cap I actually have here, I can probably toggle back on the Samurai Guardian stuff just to have it collect and whatnot. Okay, cool. Okay, moving on. We'll come back to candy clicking, liquid cap, how to increase that, and what end gamers are doing. But let's take a look at your bubbles overall before diving deep into that topic. I think go back to the dashboard. You have 395,000 bubble levels. You see here. If anything, I'd just a general overall goal before World 7, maybe try to get this up to like 500k. Focusing specifically on the stat bubbles, so Roid, Rage, and Swift Step and Stable Genius, trying to get those up to 10k. Pretty good because it'll help you push World 7, right? It'll give you damage because damage scales off of stats, mostly because of the Crystal Stake artifact from Sailing, but also the power of Try 1, Try 2, and Try 3. Those alchemy bubbles you see down here, the end of World 5 bubbles, these give you a ton of total damage, and a great way to scale your damage is through stats. And additionally, as you scale stats, you not only increase your cash percent because of the Nickel of Wisdom, Dollar of Agility, and Penny of Strength bubbles, but also you increase your kill per kill because all elite classes, with the exception of Vman, obviously have some kill per kill talent. So Beastmaster has stacked skulls. The Elemental Sorcerer and Bubo, they have their own kill per kill, but essentially it scales off of your stats that the class has. So for archer classes, it's agility, mages it's wisdom, and for warriors it is strength, right? So it'll scale your kill per kill, which is effectively pushing power, right? Also, keep in mind when World 7 comes around and you push actively through the world and try to get into new maps, remember to try to do it actively because of the various bonuses we have to kill per kill, and particularly because of the vault bonus. Bubo is going to be the best class probably to push World 7 actively because of the instant respawn mechanic. The skulls are kind of make things a little bit new in World 7 because we didn't have that. We don't have Arcane Cultists at World 6 launch, right? So using Bubo back in the day was the fastest pusher. I imagine that's probably still the case, but with the master classes, Windwalker might be good because of the sheer amount of mobs he spawns. But generally, Bubo's a good safe bet for pushing. And the reason you want to actually push things actively in World 7 is because of the active murdering upgrade in the vault, which means as you're playing, I know it's worded weirdly, but the way it works is when you're active on the character, you have 2 times kills. So this is essentially Nobisect from Divinity. This is essentially Killer Brightside from Lab. This is effectively Rift Jokin from Pet Companions, right? So this is a pretty big multiplier to the amount of pushing power your character has. So getting 1 kill will count as when you're at this stage of the game with this much multi-kill, with this much kill per kill through stats, probably thousands to millions of kills per 1 kill that you get, right? Like my AFK info has 653 mil kills per hour on Samurai Guardians, and I'm only at 41 multi-kill tiers. So just to give you a perspective, stats are a great way to push. You saw, or at least I didn't really highlight, but focusing on kill per kill is a great way to scale the amount of kills you actually get. I have 713,000 total agility. I'm getting 23,400% kill per kill. So every 1 kill counts as 2,334 whatever kills, and that gets further multiplied by the active murdering talent, Nobisect, Killer Brightside, that stuff, right? So all that kind of comes together, helps increase the pushing power you have, and that's also why I recommend getting multi-kill for some of those early World 6 people. If you aren't hitting multi-kill, you're wasting your time trying to push World 6 because that is the vast majority of your pushing power when it comes to this stage of the game, and that's no exception for World 7 when it comes around, especially if it reintroduces locks as a mechanic, right? So just to kind of prep yourself for World 7, getting stats, all stats across your characters for each of these cauldrons is going to be a very effective pushing power. Also, one thing to call out that people don't really often mention because it's such an obscure topic is Vman. Vman's portal, the way it works is it sets your unlocked portal count to whatever your highest pushed character is. So say for example, I was at the beginning of World 6 with Vman, right? I was at Sprout Spirits, but my highest pushed character is at Samurai Guardians. If I use the Vman speedrun, it'll unlock all these portals automatically for my Vman. You just enter the Void Trial rerun, go to Party Dungeon to delete the portal rerun, speedrun, and go back to this like base Idleon, and then you'll see all of these portals unlock immediately. You don't need to actually finish the kill count. And you know, I don't really have an explanation as to why this is. This has always worked like that for Vman. I don't suspect this is a bug, because it would have been fixed years ago, because this was a thing at the advent of World 6, and how people push past World 6 so quickly is because of Vman. Vman had that pushing power, and people kind of use it to skip past locks. Because remember, Woodland Spirits, for example, had a 2-player kill count. If you had one character push past Woodland Spirits, then you use the Vman speedrun. It counts as that second character and just immediately unlocks. So you can push into Bamboo Spirits, Lantern Spirits, and such. So, you know, keep that in mind. If World 7 has locks, you can try to use that tactic with Vman to your advantage. Also, keep in mind that if that's the case, you want to push as fast as possible. World 7 is going to have branching paths. So wait to push to the other locks if they are in those branching paths before you use the Void Trial speedrun, because it has a really long cooldown. I don't know, I'm just kind of talking out of my ass at this point. Okay, moving on. Bubbles, fragment, so Prisma bubbles. If you have the opportunity to get more Prisma fragments, I'd highly recommend trying to do Statue EXP, because this will make statue depositing so much better, and this will help you actually at the advent of World 7 with those new statues coming out. I mean, I hope there's new statues. There wouldn't be a reason why a new world doesn't have statues. I'm assuming there would be, but getting Statue EXP will make it so much easier to level up your statues, get higher levels of them. It also will help you like immediately, right? Getting higher levels of your statues now, because instead of the EXP bar getting set down here, it'll get set up to like 50% or so. I think it's the soft or hard cap. Actually, sheepies. Okay, spoiler section. Apparently, there's a little bit of controversy about actually like sharing code in the game. So don't look at this section, or don't, I'm telling you to like skip ahead by like 1 minute, because I'm going to share essentially what is code digged information from someone in Idleon that explicitly was given permission by Lava to do it in another Discord, provided there is a disclaimer in here. So I'm giving you that disclaimer now. Skip ahead 1 minute from this point if you'd like to not know what like the code is of Idleon, specifically as it comes to Statue EXP. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Sheepy, wiki guy. Statue EXP has a hard cap of 25%. Gets increased here up to 50% with the Prisma bubble. So 50% is like the hard cap for Statue EXP. So it'll minimum, or if when you have Prisma fragment, if it says anything above 50%, it just goes to 50% of the level. So say it takes like 1 million statues to get to the next level, it'll go down to 500k. That's like the minimum Statue EXP has effect with. Okay, I hope that makes sense. But anything beyond 50% just doesn't work for Statue. Okay. Moving on. Sigils, done. Okay, cauldrons, all the speed boost, all that stuff. Cap rate almost at like 850, 900 or so. So I guess it might be a little bit too late to try to push this and try to make this your goal, but definitely I would say, I mean, I kind of demonstrate liquid cap, right? This is one of the best ways to increase liquid cap, is like cranium cooking, right? Being effective at cranium cooking. For Bubo right now, it still is. Tremor Worms is the best place to do cranium cooking sorry, I say Bubo, but Arcane Cultist, right? So going to World 5, going to Tremor Worms, dropping your crystal at like one of these top 2 platforms. I actually don't know if like this is the optimal, or if you want to do it on the bottom one, but you know, having crystal spawns, right, all that stuff, this is the best way to do it. Remember that when you do cranium cooking, have Marble Glass Staff for the extra range. This used to be that you wanted like gloves, right, for the Auspicious Aura, but Auspicious Aura was nerfed. Skulls are the better thing, because you throw out the skulls with every single basic attack. So if you attack fast enough, you have enough attack speed. I don't have a threshold or anything, just do your own testing. You can drop the skulls from the bar, and the only thing you actually need is just the raised dead talent, and that's really it. But yeah, this still is the most efficient way to do cranium cooking, especially if you have 400 plus talents. You'll get perma cranium cook here. And then, you know, you just want to use liquid vestment to your advantage, let the bar fill up, and just kind of level up your liquid cauldrons. A stretch goal for you would be trying to get to like 1,000 for the liquid cap and rate, because that will significantly help you. And the fact that you have Drippy Drop Exalted, this stamp right here, is fantastic, because this is a big multiplier to liquid regen speed in Idleon. There's not a lot of sources of liquid regen speed, but Drippy Drop is the best one for that. Okay, actually, don't remember if I have Divinity on this character at Mindful. Okay, I do. Back into the lab real quick. sure I have that stuff. Where is that? Back into the lab you go. Moving back over to Windwalker and auto on because I'm doing shiny pet farming. That's what I'm trying to do. Trying to get some of my pets level 20 before World 7 launches. Very trivial goal because I'm doing things like total damage percent. I'm going to get like 1 trillion extra damage or whatever. Anyways, moving on. Vials, how's your vials doing? You can look at the previous video I made about Dreadnought and Godshard Vial if you want to try to get those to level 13. Up to you. Depending what level your refinery is, I would probably say, okay, I mean, now is potentially a very feasible time for you to try to get your vial, your red salt vial to level 13 because you're producing 1 million salts an hour. It's 1,000 hours realistically to try to get that up to level 13. Now it's obviously 1,000 hours is a lot, but you also have Omnifau to consider to like progress that time. 15% of the time you'll collect AFK time on your characters to progress that further. So instead of 1,000 hours, it might take you, I guess 15% less time. I don't know, man, something like that. Very bad math, but you can. I hesitate to say you can do this before World 7, maybe leveling it up a little bit more, or remembering to force proc your refinery, remembering to collect your AFK time on your characters to progress refinery. Stuff like that will help you kind of in the long run to get that vial to level 13. Okay, cool. Just want to make sure you had the Emperor bonuses here. Okay, so real quick, arcade. There's 2 things that increase arcade bonuses. I mean, kind of pay to win. One of them is kind of pay to win. The other is pay to win, or having a friend that's pay to win. The reindeer pet will increase the arcade bonuses, so going from 20 to 40. And then you have Royal Balls, which is currently available in the limited time shop. And I recommend actually doing a super ball for Emperor. So going to the gem shop, going to limited time shop, buying cosmic balls for the 790 gems. It'll give you 5 of them, so it's enough to cosmic the balls. And then you would super Emperor. Emperor is a great one to do. The reason Emperor is good is because of how many systems Emperor affects. It's a wide bonus, so instead of increasing sneaking EXP individually or nugget regen or multi-kill, you're actually increasing a variety of different bonuses. So this is a great one to super. It's cost efficient. It's just a great one to do because of how many game mechanics actually increases. So if you have the capacity to get Royal Balls or Super Balls, I would definitely do it on the Emperor bonuses here. Okay. I'm not going to roast you here for Kangaroo unless you're sheepy. Okay, prints are good, I guess. It's probably been a while since you printed, I hope. Gold Relic's at 9, so it's been a while since you printed. You can get higher prints if you reprint. Now, do you want to do that? No, at this point, I'd probably wait for World 7 just because it's around the corner. Buildings, again, I talk a lot about construction speed, kind of optimizing your buildings, which one's being built to max that out. It seems like you're actually doing a good job of equalizing which buildings you upgrade, so hats off to you. If anything, I would try to get Talent Library to 201 just because it's a pretty good thing to try to max out. It'll help you get that, extra book speed. Not that you necessarily need it, but it's a good thing to max out. Just it feels good to have Talent Library at 201 so you don't have to worry about it, right? Okay, Salt Lick, gotta make sure it's maxed out. Sometimes people forget. Honestly, I hate trapping. I don't know how to necessarily give people advice all the time on it, because people have different goals at different stages of the game. Like, I don't know, like, are you trying to maintain critters? It kind of seems like that's what you're doing, or are you trying to go for straight EXP? It's kind of a mix of that I see. So, I mean, I trust you know what you're doing and that kind of what you need to do. My recommendation is I'd probably get your trapping a little bit higher because World 7 is most likely going to introduce a new tier of trap that's going to require a higher level of trapping. So to kind of prep yourself for that, obviously stick your characters on nature traps for turtles. I guess this is also something I can kind of go into a little bit of detail on, but essentially the way you want to do your traps is go on Vman, use the Maestro's Transfusion talent, go I'm not even going to bother with cards, but there are some skill EXP cards you can equip to try to increase this. You want to equip a balance of efficiency to increase your skill EXP at the cost of skill efficiency. There's 2 skills in this game that have efficiency as a stat, but don't necessarily require a ton of it to hit like the cap you'd get from, utilizing efficiency for EXP. And those are worship and trapping. You can absolutely nuke the skill efficiency for those 2 skills in the trade-off for skill EXP. So equip this when you're doing traps to have the highest amount of skill EXP possible. And then you would essentially go to the trapper drone here. Oh, right there. You would go to turtles. You would start back at the first character. You would go, well, first of all, you delete your traps, right? If you want a little a trick of how to quick delete your traps, you'd actually click on the trash bag, make sure it's like highlighted, and you click on click all or collect all. It'll delete all your traps. I don't want to do that right now because I'm about to collect them all. I mean, I've done my reset and it's all kind of collecting EXP right now. You could do that to reset your traps, and then you go to place trap, make sure it's turtle, go to nature traps here. If you collect every 8 hours, you can do 8 hours. It's more efficient that way, or you can do 20 hours and just let Trapper Drone do it. That's what I do, just to make your life much easier, and then have that collect passively over time. You don't have to worry about it, and then eventually your characters will get high enough trapping level. Like 139 on my Vman is pretty good. I can probably level this up right now with the Crystal Countdown talent, but I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to stick my character back into Bravery. But that's essentially how you do traps, or like the EXP snapshot, right? The other thing you can do to impact that is obviously have Golden Ham to increase the skill EXP. I think there's also a card set for EXP. I'm not sure if that's actually good or not, but you can do that. And then I can't remember if there's star sign, if this actually does. No, it's not EXP, but I think there's skill EXP star signs as well. You can try to equip. Also with World 7 coming, star sign chip is just going to double all chips now instead of having to snapshot them and click on which thing you want to double. Anyways, moving on. But that's how you do EXP snapshot there. Very quickly run down on that. Cooking. I guess you've done 110 meals. 110 meals done. Cool. Oh my dear Lord. Okay. Group by stats. Is there any one that you haven't done that is very important to do? Not really. Seems like you've gotten the very important ones up to the threshold. I just saw level 1 shiny pets and it got me concerned, but no, you're fine there. You got all these to level 7, which is great. Laboratory, I don't need to worry about that. You don't have the green jewel, which is fine. That's from Arcane Cultist. I hope it gets buffed in World 7. Rift done, obviously. Top 1% is pretty good. Sailing, you're done with sailing. Not much to talk about here. Sorry for those early game players who are stuck with sailing. I guess a quick reminder, as the recording of this video, chocolate chip just got put into rotation. If you haven't gotten that, that's the best way to actually progress sailing. Counterintuitively, it doesn't really do with sailing, but you can farm World 5 for the gold food of sailing golden hamster gummies. Those increase the chance for you to collect sailing AFK time on your characters. So when you have them on your characters, or if you have 10,000 put onto the beanstalk, you'll passively have that chance to collect sailing AFK time on your characters to let you progress sailing much faster. And the priorities, loot value captains, trying to focus on speed to get to the later islands. If your boats are, getting to an island in more than 6 hours, I would say it's not worth it to farm that island. Go to a lower tier, get the materials for the previous island to upgrade your boats to get more speed, and then go back and try to farm a later island so you can get the relics that you need. I hope that kind of makes sense. Just as a rough tip, but not relevant to Divided by Zero here. Okay. Okay. Pretty good. Gaming. Cool. You have a 72 logbook. That's pretty cool. The whole, you're doing a 40 opal split. I don't know if it's more efficient to do 40 opal split versus like a 35 or 25, to be honest. I haven't done the math myself. I personally do, I think, a 35. I'm sure someone will comment about that. Cool. Okay, you are investing the pips here into Cosmo, so you can get the last ballot box increases probably. Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice to try and max out Cosmo, right? You can do what I did and get enough EXP and enough of the Cosmo pips to actually fully max Cosmo. You can actually pre-unlock some of the bonuses from Cosmo, like I have here. So I put pips into Confuse bonus. I put points here into this Confuse bonus and this one right here. You don't need to do this. This is extraneous and like very annoying. And I have an extra point left over. But as you do the Opal split, it'll kind of come naturally to you, right? But if you want more villager EXP at this point, a lot of that's going to come probably from Bravery, getting that EXP from villagers there. Talking about Bravery, obviously my recommendation is try to get more hours here. You have 1000% plus monument AFK gain. So trying to get Bravery bonus multi is something that you want to do. Trying to push into the 50 to 100,000 hours is definitely what I'd recommend. Yeah, I just want to see if you do have Minecraft gems, so you can actually do a jar collectible reset and focus hard onto Minecraft gem to try to get a high level of this, so your monument AFK gain goes higher, because that jewel gives you a flat 20% per. So if you have like a 20 enchant on it, right, 20 times 20 is 400. That's up to what 1400% monument AFK gain that you would be getting, which is pretty significant. You've pretty good slab. Okay. I would say before World 7 hits, I would try to get the King of Food trophy. Actually, I think you're kind of time limited on this. I don't think you'll get it beforehand, but you can start now in trying to get the King of Food trophy. This, I think you can only get like one piece of it per day, and I think you need like 30 pieces of it. It's like per character, right? So you can start buying out the World 1 shop now, and you can determine you want to do this later, but buy out the hammers here, because these are a quest item that you need to kind of prepare for it. I have a ton of these. I stockpile them. I don't need them right now, but you can actually do that wherever they deposit, just to kind of prep in case you need to do the quest line, because you need to get 30 pieces, which you could complete in up to 3 days to get the King of Food trophy. Because remember, World 7 is going to have some type of like trophy collection, whatever that does. So you can actually get the King of Food trophy done and have that for your trophy collection, World 7, wherever that is. Okay, farming, you're at 220 crops. So I suspect you know how to do farming resets. So if, for those of you not in the know, kind of what you want to do is just grow up to the highest glassy crop you can. Try to like let it grow for like a day so it overgrowths a bunch. Collect those. You can do a bean trade in, and then the rest of the like beans that you get, all you want to do is just put that into evolution GMO. What I generally recommend is try to get speed GMO up to like 40% and OG for up to like 4 times here, just as a good baseline to help you, one, grow your crops faster, but also overgrowth your crops faster, and then the rest of your points just straight up putting all those into evolution GMO until you get to 230 crops. Now I can't remember the exact number here. I want to say like 3.33, 3.43, something like that for crop evo, and that'll get you enough to get up to that 230 crops that you need. Sneaking, I mean, my only advice regards to sneaking Mastery 5 is going to come from Windwalker and the Compass. It'll have a pretty big stealth upgrade right here, Moon of Sneak. So if you read this, the stealth multiplier this gives you doubles every time you get 50 levels. So getting this to 250 will give you up to like 80 times stealth or something. Let me go to my account because I recently got this to 250. This is one way you can get there. To Mastery 5, that is getting this to level 250. I got to 251, but you get up to 81 times higher stealth, which is pretty big multiplier for your stealth percent. The other way is getting 40,000 hours in Fractal Island, getting 100k gemstones, getting like 450 plus talents on Windwalker for the gemstone multiplier, right, for the stealth percent, the gold charm bonus, the max charm level, the gem multiplier bonus itself from the moissanite gem, right? All that stuff coming together. You kind of need a lot of those different categories to come together for you to be able to push Mastery 5, but pushing to Mastery 5 now is just generally good prep for World 7, because as you get into Mastery 5, you're able to go down to the ghost room and start collecting a bunch of EXP, and then you can get your characters actually to sneaking level like 900 or something, right? I'm at 904 because I'm at Mastery 5 floor 1, or I had been for a while, so it gives you a ton of EXP. Okay, I'm actually running out of time here. So quickly, I'm going to go back talking about liquid cap and what people are doing to increase that. Obviously, we talked a lot about the drop lot stamp. That base increase to liquid cap is very good. There's also a bubble, which is kind of more or less forgotten about. I wouldn't recommend like, Prisma doubling this, but there's also this the daily drip bubble. This increases your liquid cap by a little bit. Not necessarily something you necessarily want to focus on. I don't know why I said necessarily like twice there. Other big thing is gonna be the few meals. Pumpkin, trying to get a high ribbon onto this, like a 16 plus, and then obviously the other one, kiwi fruit, for the liquid 3 and 4, getting that to a 16 plus ribbon as well for a ton of liquid cap is obviously very, very good as well. So those are the big sources of that. And obviously doing a bunch of Bubo Cranium cooking, trying to get high levels of that liquid cap and rate, all that stuff coming together to give you a ton of liquid cap to get, to allow you to candy click more, right? And if you guys need assistance, I do have a short specifically talking about candy clicking. It does skip over a few nuanced things that people kind of run into. One, when you candy click and you click pick up the resources, you'll notice that there's 2 stacks of the items actually drop on the floor. When you candy click and pick those items up, don't click and drag over both of the stacks, because what it'll do is it'll kind of delete those 2 stacks. So you don't want to do that. To give you kind of, I guess, representation of this, you'll see here on my Windwalker, I have 64 billion oak logs, right? If I were to actually use like I'll just blast a 12-hour candy, right, of 775 billion oak logs. So if I actually were to go through and like deposit all these oak logs to my inventory, right, and I'm clicking and holding over both of these stacks, so kind of go full screen so you guys can see this, right? You'll notice that I don't get 700 billion oak logs, and I'll try to explain this to the best of my ability, but I fully don't understand this myself, and I'm sure someone can chime in to give more detail about how this happens or what works. But essentially, inventory slots in Idleon are bugged. So when you click something, craft something, and like deposit your inventory, sometimes the inventory slots themselves can kind of double up, but it doesn't count as like an extra inventory slot. So for the purposes of like candy clicking, right, and things going into that ghost double inventory slot, it'll actually delete the items that are going into that doubled up ghost inventory slot. So when you go and like get 700 billion oak logs or whatever, right, it actually does not register as 700 billion, because the second stack is going into this ghosted section of your inventory, getting deleted and not going into storage. So you see here, I had 700 billion to AFK, but I only have 448 here. The reason being is because I was clicking and dragging over both of those stacks. One of those stacks was going into, or part of that second stack was going into this like ghosted inventory slot and like doubling up. This only takes effect when your inventory slots are filled with the item that you're picking up. So in this case, I'm picking up 2 stacks of oak logs, right? So some of those stacks are doubling up. That's why when you also active mine the resource and you do the candy clicking and you pick up these logs right here, you're actually 7 times ghost clicking that specific bubble. So that's why people actually run into issues with candy clicking when they actually see, oh, I've lost like 300 billion of the resources. Where did that go? That's where it went. You're kind of doing things wrong and you're clicking and dragging over multiple sources, or you're active mining the resource and you're having that ghost slot kind of appear in your inventory. It's just a bug. It's been a bug for like years in Idleon, but it's never been fixed because it's such a niche problem. It only came up more recently because of candy clicking that it hasn't, come to the top of Lava's attention, or at least that's what I suspect happened. I don't really fault him for it. There's a lot of bugs in this game, right? But just as a quick rundown for candy clicking, you see there that I'm candy clicking on my Windwalker and I ran out of liquid, right? So liquid cap is a very important thing to worry about and kind of something to min-max for end gamers to talk about, right? Okay, cool. Well, Divide by Zero, I hope you learned a little bit of something about candy clicking, or general goals to help out with your account. As always, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, please like, comment, subscribe, whatever. Share with your friends, share with your mom, your dad, your uncle. Go to the graveyard and find someone and show the video to them or whatever. Thank you. Have a great day, guys. I'll see you guys later. Bye.